Hello, artists. I'm very excited to bring an artist to you today. Her name is Ebony H. Flagg, and she is a brilliant modern artist. We are going to talk to her in her art studio, look at her work, and this will be our first video where we really see the artist in her element, and there will be a follow-up opportunity to ask this artist questions. So today, let's meet Ebony H. Flagg. Her quote, which is a Banksy quote, "Art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable." So here we go. All right, Ebony, tell us about your art style, your art movement, your art philosophy. All right. Okay. All right. Ebony, I'm excited to be here with you today. Can you tell everyone that's listening how you would define art, and then a little bit about your journey through art school?
Definitely. First, I would like to say thank you, Jen, for having me. My art journey and what art means to me. I guess we can start with my art journey. I've loved art since a young girl. I used to draw a lot when I was 8, and when I spoke to my mom and dad, I was like, well, when I grow up, I either want to be a professional basketball player in the WNBA or a professional artist. And obviously, the WNBA didn't work because I'm too short. But the artist, professional artist, worked out, and I'm happy because I feel fulfilled in being a professional artist and not just an artist, but a liberation artist. For me, a liberation artist is creating awareness on social justice and just amplifying the voice of the marginalized and creating a platform for that. And then I guess a little bit about myself. I went to Moore College of Art and Design, and I studied illustration, minored in graphic design.
Now, I appreciate you telling everyone what a liberation artist is, because people don't know that term. And I think I love that you're sharing that style of art and that concept. So I want to show a couple of your pieces. So we're going to start with talking about your 2016 piece called Strange Water. Okay, so can you please tell us about this piece?
So this piece is titled Strange Water, and this piece was created to make awareness on the water crisis that actually is still occurring today at Flint, Michigan. And I just wanted to, like I said, create awareness and show that this is still actually occurring. And if we as a society and as America say that we are a country that is for the land of the free, then that means that that's for everyone, and everyone should have clean water, fresh water. So I wanted to just be able to create awareness on that, and then give a visual impact on what that is doing. Because if we don't have clean water, that trickles down to so much things: our health, our finances, our livelihood, our lifestyle, our just being able to be well and be comfortable with who we are. So that is why I created this piece.
All right, thank you. And let's look at another piece together. So this piece I'm excited to talk about because it's in the Brave 100 show, and it's beautiful. It's really truly beautiful to see in person. I'm excited I got to see it in person, and it's called "I Am More Than," and you created it in 2017. So tell us a little bit about this piece, please.
So "I Am More Than" was created to empower women and to embrace self-care and say, yes, as women, we wear so many different hats. We can be a wife, we can be a mom, we can have so many different roles. We cook, we wash clothes, and then we deal with misogynistic views all the time. So that's why I have the bra there, and then her one of the reasons, her being nude, and then also having a high heel. And I the reason why I have those placed the way they are is to say, yes, I'm sexy. Yes, I may be a wife. Yes, I may be a mom. Yes, I have these roles and things that we do, but I am more than that. I am a woman. I am my own entity, my own being, and self-care is important. It was also something that inspired me was Beyonce's Lemonade. So she's drinking lemonade and just taking a break, dropping down the shackles of the social stereotypes as far as having to cook, having to wash clothes, and just views of what other people view them as or us as, and just saying, okay, I'm going to go and have some self-care.
Thank you. That's, I mean, I think it, and I think your piece reads really well. I mean, that's what I see. I see all of that and so much more. So thank you for this.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask you what do you see when you picture this or visualize it?
I love the scale, the way you played with scale a lot. I mean, because it has that surrealist element with the lipstick and the isolated select color really brings you in. So it's you got the lipstick, which really truly represents femininity, right? And it's red and gold, and then boom, and then I go right to the I am more than is the other thing in red. So it's that, yes, there's feminine energy, but there's strength, and red represents so much, right? So I love the red in it. And then with the lemonade and the yellow, and her pose is, I mean, she's completely vulnerable, but there's so much strength in that vulnerability. So it reads as strength and independence. And I mean, you keep looking at it and even you see more and you see the business and the really just the way you played with scale. I really love that. That's my perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because this is one of the largest pieces that I've created. It's maybe like I believe 3.5 feet tall, and then even within the drawing, yeah, I did that intentionally as far as scale, because we as women sometimes look at society and internalize that too much, and as far as that's why the spoon and fork is so big, and just instead of thinking about what people view us as, it's time now to embrace what you were saying, the feminist side of us and the womanist side, or not even embrace it, because I think we've been doing that for so long, but actually have pieces for the world now to embrace it. So that's why I created this piece.
Thank you. And now I want to talk about one of your more recent pieces. And 1 second. Right. Okay, so this piece you said you made 4 months ago, and it is called Conflicted. So tell us about this piece of art, please.
So this piece, Conflicted, is inspired from Norman Rockwell, the triple self-portrait that he created. Norman Rockwell is one of my favorite illustrators. So I love his piece since I've known about it, learned about it in college, and it's interesting because I always wanted to do a type of piece regarding it, but I just didn't know what. So in February, I thought about it. I was like, well, all this that's going on, and me being a liberation artist, how can I incorporate one of my pieces that I love, and then also my view and what's actually going on in society today. So with that being said, Conflicted was made. There's a lot of symbolism in this piece. If you look at Norman Rockwell's piece, Norman Rockwell actually has paintbrushes on the floor, and then on the top he has a Roman hat on the easel, and then also like different drawings. And I wanted to be true to his art piece, but then also be true to what actually going on in society and what has been taking place. So this piece right here is a tribute to not only the specific people that I'm going to name, but just a lot of Black and brown people who fell victim to police brutality, and just racism and systematic oppression in general. Um, we have to do better, and that's why I create pieces like this to say it's not right, and we won't stand for it anymore, and we need allies to be a part of that. So this the person there is a Black person, and is kind of representative as just like Black and brown people in general, looking into the mirror at Martin Luther King Jr. And then drawing Malcolm X, and it's called conflicted because we, as I believe, or I can only speak for myself, but I deal with which ideology do I want to embrace today, Martin Luther King's or Malcolm X, and with what's going on in society and seeing the racism that's been occurring and continue to occur, and just the systems that in place that have black and brown people down. For me, now it's like, okay, it's time to take a more radical approach, and if that is in art and being able to be bold in what we say and what we feel, then this is how I do it. If that's in people doing more rioting and more protesting to say, hey, this isn't right, if that's for people being able to just come together and just stand, this is how we do it. So that's why I say it's conflicted, because we are taking these two ideologies now and then merging them together and embracing it and going forward to break this demonic force that is called racism. Um, we have I have Skittles on the floor, which is in representation of Trayvon Martin. Um, and when he was going into the store, he just bought Skittles, and then he bought some juice called he bought some Arizona watermelon juice, and instead of being able to come home and or go on a walk and enjoy his walk home, he was accused of being a threat and accused of, I believe, having a gun, and what he had in his hand was only these two things. So I wanted to put this inside of an art piece, and that was so. This Norman Rockwell art piece is so iconic. So with it being iconic, not only will African Americans be able to relate, but now it's so iconic that um, the Caucasian members will be able to relate to it being Norman Rockwell's, but then understand our narrative and what actually is going on. And if you don't understand, but actually be aware now of what's going on, and that's why the symbolism is so important. So instead of having the hat, the Roman hat on top of the easel, I put BLM, Black Lives Matters hat, or Black Lives Matters hat, and then the I Am Man protest. I wanted to put that to show just to give remembrance of what we as Black people have endured. And then the I Can't Breathe. The interesting thing about this was this piece that when I wrote that, it was in regard to Eric Garner, who passed away in 2014 from police brutality. It was to give remembrance and to create awareness on this, so we won't go revisit these steps, and we won't have to deal with it again. I put 2020 only because it was the new year. I didn't even know that this piece was speaking, I guess, prophetically, or going to reflect what was happening, what was going to happen only 4 months down the road, which is with with George Floyd, and how he said, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." So, with that being said, I this is why I create my art, and it's a shame because the George Floyd piece, the George Floyd incident that happened, um, but prior to that, Breonna Taylor passed away, and then prior to Breonna Taylor passing away, Ahmaud passed away, and everyone that I just mentioned is passed away because of racism and because of police brutality, and it happened within months or weeks behind each other. So, for the people who may think, "Oh, well, her work is too radical or too much," um, it's not. It's to show what we as Black and brown people are dealing with, and just to give a create awareness, and hopefully this will promote not only um, promote change, but just stimulate action in that change. So yeah.
I mean, and the amount of dialogue and the depth of this, and like you said it yourself. I mean, the fact that you made this before all of the brutalities that just have been in the news recently, but this was made 4 months ago, and it's. I feel like this. I would love this piece to be a staple, especially even comparing it to the Norman Rockwell piece in art classes nationwide, because it's a talking point and it brings history and liberation and just so much. This is just such a powerful piece. So I'm thanking you for sharing it with people, and your explanation with it adds even more depth. So I wanted to thank you so much for talking about your work, and I wanted to just ask if you could give some advice for students, any students in art class or just students in general. What's your message for the youth of today? What would you like to share?
Um, wow, that was a loaded question.
Just a few tips, I guess.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I guess tips to walk in your authentic self and be okay with embracing who you are. I'm 34, and now I feel more empowered and liberated than ever, and I believe that's one of the main reasons why is because like last week I cut my hair all the way off, and that was it was frightening but liberating as well, and empowering. And the reason why is because me as a Black woman, I always looked at the ways of beauty and looked at different people to I guess emulate, or not emulate, but imitate that beauty, and not being able to just look at myself and say, well, this is who you are. What do you see as beauty? So being able to cut my hair off and be able to see me and me being beautiful opened up a way for me to navigate more in this art world, because I'm okay with being me. I'm okay with being my authentic self. There's this this T-shirt that I haven't bought yet, but the quote says, "Be you, and they'll adjust." And I think that quote right there speaks so much volume, because if we as Black women, as women, as we as just individuals be our authentic self, then the world or society has no other way of dealing with it but adjusting and just embracing who we are. And I think if we go walking in that forward, especially in the art world, then we'll be able to create change, stimulate, um, empowering others. And yeah, so I guess my tip or my advice is to be yourself, and it's okay if you don't know who you are yet, because in this life we're always evolving, and just be open to being able to evolve into who you want to be.
All right. Thank you, Ebony. And again, her website is ehfcreations.com. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk and share your perspective about your work, because it's rare to be able to have the artist talk about the work instead of us just making our own thoughts, you know, as teachers and as students. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, Ebony, you wanted to share one more thing?
Yeah, so as art students, even going forward, if you desire to be, or should I say go to art school or art college, be okay with knowing that there's going to be emotions and highs and lows, and be okay with navigating and embracing that, because going in, if you know that going in and you embrace that, then you'll be okay, just in general, and not only in your art. The reason why I say that is because for a point in time, I got discouraged and didn't want to do art anymore, because when I went to the museums and the field trips, I saw, I didn't see anything that represented me. I saw all different faces, all different types of art, but it wasn't my culture. It wasn't Black and brown people, unless it was during Black History Month. So um, for a point in time, that discouraged me. But walking forward and being able to just embrace who I am, after graduating more, I decided I wanted to um, create a space for Black and brown people to be able to um, see their culture, see who they are, and then amplify the voice of the marginalized, but also just create a space where everyone can appreciate that experience. And yeah, so I believe if you go into these art colleges and universities, and know that there's going to be highs and lows, and that you may not see different things that represent you. Um, Take it as a hit, but not as discouragement. Take it as something to empower you to sit up straight and walk forward, and have innovative ideas and ways of which, how can I make a difference in this, and how can I make a space for what I don't see. So
All right, thank you for sharing that.